Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, welcome to all the participants. Today is our third day, and our resource person has joined. So, for formal introduction, I would like to invite Ms. Shikha Urmil to introduce our resource person. So, Shikha.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. This is Shikha Urmil, and I am here to introduce our esteemed resource person, Mr. Rakesh Manocha. Mr. Manocha holds an MBA in Finance from Dr. Harising Gaur University and an MBA in Applied Physics from Jabalpur Engineering College. With over 30 years of experience in manufacturing sector, IPCL and RIL, he has worked in numerous areas specializing in project planning, finance, and human resources. A key area of interest from him has been water and energy management, where he served as a key resource person for IPCL for nearly 2 decades. Suzlon executed their first ever wind farm contract with IPCL, and Mr. Rakesh was one of the two key project team members overseeing the project for IPCL. He was also associated with the Geotelecom project in its first phase. He is retired now and is focusing on the developing his family property in Jabalpur. His hobby for several years has been Indian history, devoting to substantial amount of time to this subject. Towards this, he has compiled substantial collection of antique books and prints from across the world. Apart from this, he also collects contemporary art. Today, he is covering the subject of green energy revolution, research, innovation, policies, and sustainable solutions. Thank you. So, here, please welcome Mr. Rakesh Manocha. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Shikhaji. Good evening. Am I audible
Yes, sir.
and am I visible?
Sir, your slides are visible.
Lights are visible. I'm not
Yeah.
visible. Okay, just a
Yes, sir.
second. I was wanting to get this done before the program commenced, but somehow I've not been able to do that.
So, the background image is visible.
Yeah, for me also, that is exactly what I'm
Okay.
encountering. I'm still not visible, am I?
No, sir.
Okay, now let's see if I turn off all the background effects.
So, your camera is off, sir.
My camera is very much on.
So, but it is showing.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
now I'm visible. Okay.
Yes.
One second, one more bit of work. My presentation, I'm not able to move it. This is, in fact, I think the second or third page of the slide of the presentation. Okay, now am I visible? No. Is the slide movement visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rakesh Manocha, and at the outset, let me thank Professor Thakur, who has been one of my teachers, for giving me this opportunity to talk about a subject which I'm very, very involved in and very passionate about. As Shikhaji mentioned a few minutes ago, I've been associated with this subject in various forms for several years now. Today, this opportunity, I'm trying to use this opportunity to talk about a subject which I have experienced firsthand. So while the content is I've drawn from various sources, but there is a substantial amount of input which I'm providing from my own first-hand experience. Let's start off by understanding what is why waste has now become a problem. In this regard, I would like to just show you a couple of videos. Is the video visible?
No, sir.
It is not visible. I think if I'm not able to do that, then I'll stick to the main presentation itself. Okay, now is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I picked up from the net. It's Ghazipur landfill site just a few years ago. You can just see sheer size of the fire would be in itself be an indication as to the extent of the waste problem that we are seeing. You see the extent of fire that over a number of seconds that the person who is recording it. Okay, there's another one which I'd like to share with you. This is the Pirana website near Pirana site near Ahmedabad. What you see here is the slope, is actually the slope on top of the waste, which is wherein trucks ply. So these two videos I showed you was just to give you an idea as to the extent of the problems that we are facing. Now, why is waste a problem? I'll be covering this subject over around 15 parts. Only 10 are visible here. The first one that we are talking of is why waste is a problem, then green energy, and so on and so forth. Why waste is a problem? Modern civilization has actually been very, very successful in producing goods and services for comfort, but far less successful at what is remaining after consumption. Every product that is consumed eventually turns into a waste. So what remains after that is an area which is often left As cities expand, consumption increases, and populations concentrate, waste has emerged not merely as a sanitation issue, but as a defining challenge for energy security, climate change, and sustainable development. In traditional societies, waste cycles were very short and local. We would consume the vegetables. The waste would be fed to cows and bovines. Their waste was used in the houses. So consequently, whatever was available was used. That means vegetable would be fed to livestock. Organic residues would be returned to the field. Packaging material, wherever it was used, was minimal. पुरानी साड़ी इसको इस्तेमाल करते थे उसी को, और वो साड़ी फिर इवेंचुअली पहले साड़ी पहनते थे, फिर साड़ी को लपेटने के लिए इस्तेमाल किए जाते थे. और जो वेस्ट निकलता था, जैसे जूट फॉर एग्जांपल, दे वर यूज्ड इन पैकेजिंग आइटम्स. With urbanization and disposable culture, this supply chain has broken down. Today, when we are cutting vegetables at home, that waste is being put in a plastic bag and discarded. I'll give you one more example. 2 years ago, I'd gone for a party in New Jersey. The couple had invited some 20-25 people, 25 couples. The party started somewhere around 11:30 and ended at 4 o'clock. Now, for convenience, they had not used typically steel plates or china plates. They had used disposable plates and glasses, tumblers. The net consequence of that party was that next day till around lunchtime, we were collecting the waste. They would typically use the waste collection would typically be done once in a week at their place, and the baggage it would be a total of around one bag only. But in the instant case, in this instant party, the amount of waste that was collected were filled up 3 bags. Another illustration I would like to share with you happens to be of a person named Captain Charles Moore. He had gone for a yacht expedition in Hawaii and was returning back to the mainland in the United States. So in order to save time, he took a shortcut. And then he ran into what he called a murky soup of floating plastic debris, including bottle caps and fishing nets in the Pacific Ocean. The size of this patch in the Pacific Ocean is estimated to be around 1.6 million square kilometer or 16 lakh square kilometer. Now, 16 lakh square kilometer may not make sense till we realize that it is almost 50% of India's landmass. Within this 16 lakh square kilometers of waste, approximately 100,000 metric tons of waste is believed to be floating on the surface of the ocean, and 94% of that was microplastics. That in terms of count, but in terms of volume, it was only 8%. Globally, we have more than 20 million, 200 crore tons of solid waste being generated every year, and this is only expected to increase. Rural waste is something we will not talk. We'll come back to that a little later. What is the implication of this waste that is being generated? Look at New York. New York is generating around 14 to 15 million tons of waste every year. They have a $2 billion budget and 8,000 people working round the clock for this. And they are still not able to manage the waste. For reference, the entire IIT budget of entire budgetary support for all the IITs in India is only 1.2 billion. So you can imagine the extent of the cost that the world is paying for managing waste. In India, we have got something around 15 crore tons of municipal waste every year. In terms of the rural sector, there is no real information. What is the information? What is the extent of waste that is being generated? But the biggest advantage of the rural sector is most of it is consumable waste. The current estimate is that about 80% of the waste, that is visible waste, is in the urban sector. Now, traditionally, waste has been viewed as a byproduct of development, something to be collected, transported, and dumped out of sight. This linear approach has led to landfills, open dumping, groundwater contamination, methane emissions, and public health crisis. Methane, which is released from decomposing organic waste, is particularly harmful because of the impact it has on the ozone layer. Another unintended consequence of waste is a threat to human life. I don't know how many of you are aware that in our bloodstream has been found, in our bloodstream, microplastics have been found. They manage to penetrate into the bloodstream. And the main source of these microplastics is plastic bottles, the ones that we use, the Bisleri that we use. How do we manage this? Conventional linear model takes some take, make, and dispose, which leads to waste being discarded in landfill sites, dumped in rivers, or simply vented into the atmosphere. However, modern management follows a different approach. It says reduce. First is reduce, that is to avoid waste generation. Second, reuse in order to extend the product life. हमारे जो घर में जो कपड़े जो होते थे, जो बड़ा जो होता था छोटे को दे देता था, that was an example of reuse. Recycle, recover materials wherever possible. As we will see, India has got a certain lead as compared to many other countries when it comes to recycle. Recover energy, that's the fourth one. That is extract energy from non-recyclable waste. And landfill, which is the last resort. Today, the linear model has been replaced with the circular economy, which focuses on eliminating waste through continuous reuse and recovery. Am I audible to everybody, please?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, very much.
Okay. One of the methods used in the circular economy is converting the waste into green energy. What is green energy? It refers to the renewable low emission sources. This is often visualized in terms of wind energy, solar panels, and hydropower installations. While these process technologies are indispensable and important, but they address only one part of the total cycle. Another method is waste to energy. The waste to energy model represents one of the shifts in thinking from the linear model to the circular one. It reframes waste as a resource, one that can generate electricity, heat, gas, fuels, and byproducts instead of the traditional landfill burden. However, it is not a single technology. It ranges from the rural biogas plants to high-tech urban incineration facilities, each with its own benefits, limitations, and appropriate context. It aligns very closely with the circular economy principles, where materials and energy are recovered and reused rather than discarded. Unlike intermittent renewable sources such as solar and wind, many waste to energy systems provide stable baseload energy, which is particularly valuable for urban infrastructure. However, effective waste to energy planning begins with understanding waste composition because all waste is not equal. Importantly, waste to energy does not stand alone in that it is a dead end. It forms part of a broader circular economy approach where materials and energy are continuously reused and recovered. Let's understand what is until unless we classify waste, we cannot begin to understand the waste to energy concept. What are the categories? Liquid waste. Within that, you have gray water, the water that comes from the sink, the showers, the laundry. Then you have the black water that comes from the sewage and toilet waste. Then you have the industrial liquids. which is wash water, organic liquids, and waste detergents. And then you have the hazardous liquids like used oil, solvents, and chemical byproducts. I don't know how many of you are aware of this. When you go to a mechanic, a roadside mechanic for changing the engine oil, what he typically does is that he removes the engine oil. Till the recent past, that waste oil was actually thrown by the roadside. But now there is a collection process. It is known that 1 liter of this waste oil that is collected, engine oil that is collected, has the capacity to pollute 50,000 liters of drinking water. Just 1 liter can pollute 50,000 liters of drinking water and make it would no longer be potable. Then you have the solid waste. This is the most visible form of waste. You have got plastic waste, which is in the form of containers, bags, bottles. Then you've got paper, cardboard, packaging materials, newspapers, and office paper. Then you have metals, aluminum cans, scrap metal, copper wiring, glass, which is usually in the form of broken glassware, jars, etc. Then you have organic waste. Organic waste is the one which is biodegradable, that can be composted. You've got food waste, you've got garden waste, which is grass, leaves, and branches, and then you have manure, which is the animal waste, particularly from agricultural sectors. Another classification is cyclable versus non-recyclable. Recyclables are those which can be converted into new products, whereas the non-recyclables are those which are typically meant for the landfill. Then you've got hazardous waste. This waste is e-waste, medical waste, and chemical waste like pesticides, paints, and flammable materials. Waste to energy focuses on the energy recovery stage. It does not replace recycling or waste reduction, but complements them. Categories of waste, categories of technologies that are used in this. First is the biological process. The biological processes relies on microorganisms to break down organic waste in the presence or without oxygen. The typical output is biogas. Biogas has got hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane as constituents, typically, with a sprinkling of H2S. It is ideal for agricultural residues. Then you have something called as composting and vermicomposting. I think everyone would be familiar with that, using earthworms typically to convert kitchen waste into fertilizer. But that is not exactly a waste to energy process. It is more an energy adjacent process. Then we have the thermal process. Thermal processes are multiple. You have got one which is incineration, which is wherein you simply burn waste at high temperatures, converting it into steam and electricity. This is widely used for municipal solid waste, MSW as it's called, and recyclable electronic waste. Non-recyclable electronic waste. Then you have gasification, which is the second process. It converts waste into in a low oxygen environment, converting it into syngas. Syngas is hydrogen and carbon monoxide, a mixture of hydrogen and carbon monoxide, which is used for electricity or as a fuel. This method is particularly suitable for mixed streams and non-recyclable e-waste. Then you have got pyrolysis, where waste is decomposed at high temperature without oxygen. Therein, what you get is liquid fuels, syngas, and char. Char is something like coal. It's burnt and it is used in agriculture for retaining water. For those of you who have kitchen gardens, you will be using this biochar in some form or the other. Then you have got the plasma arc process. This is a process wherein you use electric. It's typically extremely high temperatures from plasma torches to vaporize waste to its basic elements. The end result is syngas for energy generation, and often a lot of metals are generated, which is recovered. And then you've got the hybrid systems, which is a combination of these technologies. Then you've got the landfill gas recovery. This is basically wherever you have landfills, their decomposition takes place, and what companies do is that businesses do, what they do is they insert pipes into the waste and extract the methane gas that is generated from these landfills. It's not a very efficient method, but it is still better than letting the methane went into the atmosphere. So that fuel that is recovered provides a decent amount of supply. We'll come to that a little later. More details a little later. Circular economy in practice. How does the world practice circular economy? We look at a specific case, tires. Across the world, about 150 to 180 crore tires are produced every year. That's more than 3 crore tons of waste. Now, despite best efforts, a large amount of it still ends up, almost 50% of it ends up in the landfill area. There are rules and guidelines which says that you cannot dispose of tires in the landfill area, but it is still happening. People have found ways to use this, but the fact remains that people have used it in gardens. People have used it as a jhula, as a swing. But the fact remains that over a period of time, these corrode and eventually they end up back in the soil. Maybe even contaminating it even more than what it had been. What would have happened if they had actually made some effort to recover something from it? What is now happening is that these particular tires are now being processed through pyrolysis. They put a large number of tires into a closed oven and then heat it. And in the process, what they are doing is they are generating pyrolysis oil, they are generating syngas, they are generating carbon black, and of course the steel, which is used in the tires, rims. In some cases, tires are also being incinerated directly in power plants, wherein they are able to recover steel and zinc oxide, some extent of zinc oxide. This process, there's another element of generation. I forgot to tell you. There's some oil that is also recovered in the process, particularly in pyrolysis, which finds its own use as fuel in other industries. For example, in steel, cement and steel industry, it works as a fuel. Such a process prevents environment damage. Another example is PET bottles. What happens is the bottle from which you are drinking water, that is collected, cleaned, ground, and melted into. It is first cleaned, ground, and then ground into small piece particles, and then remelted and extruded to form recycled polyester fiber. It replaces virgin polyester fiber in textiles, carpets, and other applications, and it reduces landfill waste and raw material demand. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, that Adidas, Nike, Zara. Adidas and Nike, of course, you're familiar, they produce shoes. But many of these... Ayush has a question. Yeah.
Yes, sir, I want to ask, this class is for BCom second sem.
Oh dear. Okay. I think I'm going a little ahead. Then okay, I'll keep it simpler. I was not aware.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please give me the answer of this is the class for first year second semester BCom? This is my question.
No, I am given to understand. I think the best person.
Ayush, yes. Ayush, this is a faculty development program. This is for faculties, industrialists, research scholar, and PG postgraduate students.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, sir. Let's continue. Sir, continue.
May I continue?
Please. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Okay. many of the clothes that we wear are actually made from recycled PET bottles. Zara, for example, Zara's premium product line is actually made from PET bottles, recycled PET bottles. And we are aware of what an Adidas or a Nike shoe costs vis-a-vis other Indian products. What is the international experience when it comes to converting waste to energy? I love Singapore. I've been there. I had the good fortune of being shown the city from a person who was actually reporting to the Prime Minister of Singapore. And he took me around. He spent a whole day with me. So what these people do in Singapore is they focus on maximizing resource efficiency and minimizing landfill waste. Their entire process is focused on waste management being the responsibility of the producer. So when the responsibility of waste management falls on the producer of the waste, that means if there is if you look at if you go to say a watch shop and want to buy a watch, typically you'll find that the watch will come in a massive box. The size of the watch is a fraction, maybe 10% or 20% of the size of the package in which it comes. So the entire cover goes to waste. So that the moment it becomes a responsibility of the producer to pay for that waste, then consequently the size of the packaging goes down. So in Singapore, what they have done is they have made the producer primarily responsible for the waste that is being produced. And as a consequence, the waste that is happening is a large amount of that waste is getting incinerated. The waste, the balance that is there goes into the landfill, but the landfill has gotten the quantum of the landfill has gone down by 90%. The electricity that is generated supplies 3% of the power demand of Singapore. Once the landfill is complete, what they have done is they convert that into a forest and it turns into an open park area, which they use for a substantial period of time. Singapore actually became independent in 1965 or so. At that time, its total area, it's a very small country. Its total area was around 580 square kilometers. But with land reclamation and landfill, it has now become, today it's around 740 square kilometers. For reference, 740 kilometers means it is only about the size of Bangalore. And a substantial part of this land recovery has also been through the use of landfills. Sweden is another. What does Sweden do? Sweden follows a principle of converting 99% of its waste to energy. In fact, it is so efficient that it imports waste from the neighboring countries. They have got something around 30 advanced incinerators providing district heating and electricity. And less than 1% of its total waste goes into landfill. China operates the largest waste to energy plant in Shenzhen, which is approximately 3 million, and it processes roughly around 3 million tons of waste every year, producing around 1.5 billion units of energy. Japan is another country. We know it's a very, very, very neat country. It treats more than 75% of its waste with waste to energy, especially in the metropolitan centers. Germany and Denmark, they are known for their low emissions, and they use very advanced technologies for integrated with district heating. They are pioneers of incineration, gasification, and pyrolysis innovations. Other countries, the US, Australia, they emphasize on plastic gasification. It would be worthwhile to talk about a minute about New York also. What they are doing is that the waste that they collect during the course of the day. What they do is they ship it to a nearby power station using barges, using the river. and there they are converting it into electricity. The key thing that we need to understand is they have followed certain strategies in order to ensure the success of their effort. First is legislation. Some countries like Germany hold the producer responsible. And Singapore, of course. Then South Korea, Switzerland, Taiwan. What they do is they say that if you throw waste, then you will have to pay for it. In fact, it would be of interest to know that Taiwan does not have waste bins. They have collection centers where you have to pay in order to throw anything away. Germany and Sweden have taken up another approach. What they have done is they have incentivized people to return deposits, return waste. That means if you use the bottles and containers, if you give it to them at a collection point, they actually pay you for it. In order to facilitate this, countries like Germany and Taiwan, what they have done is they have ensured that the sorting of waste happens at the source. If I'm generating the waste, I need to sort the waste before I give it away for disposal. Now, these countries have been able to manage. They have got effective systems which blend robust infrastructure and cultural shifts, incentivizing citizens and businesses to participate actively in waste reduction and cycling. What's happening in India? As I mentioned a little while ago, India generates around 15 to 17 crore tons of municipal solid waste in the urban center, and the rural waste is largely untapped. The urban waste to energy employs large centralized plant focusing on mass burning, incineration, refuse derived fuel, and biomethanation. Now, these are terms which may not be very familiar, so I'll talk about it. When you, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, when we talk about pyrolysis, when you're burning waste under low oxygen availability, then then often oil is generated, which is reused. So this is the example that I quoted earlier was relating to tires. With refuse also, refuse derived fuel is received, and that is called RDF4. Then biomethanation is nothing but biogas, which is from which H2S has been removed, carbon dioxide has been removed. You are essentially getting with 94% plus content of methane. The rural solutions they emphasize the decentralized biogas and community composting linked to cattle dung and crop residues. Now, the thing we need to understand is that the rural solution, that there's a difference between the urban and the rural. The collection is very high in the urban sector and very low in the rural sector, primarily because rural sectors, the waste generation sources are dispersed, unlike the urban sector where it is highly centralized. But the basic problem that comes up is that about 50% of the waste being generated, even in the urban sector, is kitchen waste, which has low calorific value, high moisture. Plus, managing them creates a problem of emission, particularly around incinerating areas. For those of you who have, I don't know, if you pass through a waste collection area, you will typically you'll have a problem of smell also. How has India managed this? I showed you the Ghazipur. I showed you the video of the Ghazipur site. It is a massive area, and an effort was made actually to incinerate, to convert it into energy using incinerators. The problem was that the residents have reported health issues, toxic emissions, and violation of norms. because in India, wo chalta hai syndrome applies. So consequently, there's a lot of smoke and emission, air pollution that was happening. So there's been so this particular effort of waste to energy has not been very successful. In contrast, Indore has been very successful. Why? They have converted. They've got one of the largest gobar. They call it the Gobardhan plant. It processes organic waste into bio-CNG. They deploy institutional digesters and manure and produce gas and manure. Even in Baroda, where I stay, there is a society which is reported. I have not been to that society, I must admit, but it is reported that there is no waste being generated in this particular society. They sort the what is kitchen waste. They convert that into vermicompost and use it, and whatever is not convertible into vermicompost, they sell it in the market after separating it. So you have got a separating section wherein they separate paper and metal and waste like glass also, and all that. The collection agent comes only once in a week to their place. It's a compound which about 400 odd families staying. I have already covered this. Now, where does India go? Now, this is the only picture that I have of a tongue-in-cheek. This is the VVIP parking of the Jabalpur District Court, wherein you see the access, how we treat our civics, rather we talk of our own civic sense. The emerging Indian trends. The focus is shifting towards biogas and biomethanation, supported by Swachh Bharat and decentralized programs. You've got biomass from rice and wheat stubble powers plants tackling air pollution. This is a consequence of the pollution that we encounter in Delhi every year, wherein the complaint has been that the pollution in Delhi is partly on account of the stubble that is being burnt in Punjab. Then you've got the semi-urban hybrid models, which are bridging the rural and the urban waste and energy needs. And then this is for the present. But what about the past? So you've got legacy dump site remediation and achieving 100% waste processing. These are the future priorities, but I'll speak about the Pirana site. This picture is just to give you an idea as to the extent of garbage that has been collected. This Pirana is a place in Ahmedabad. It was set up in 1982 or so, and this is one of the images. You can see the height from which the picture has been taken. This is another picture of the same site. What is so special about Pirana? It's a dump site which is operating in Ahmedabad since 1982 and accumulating over 1 second. The image about 125 lakh metric tons of legacy waste. The height of this dump yard is approximately anything between 75 to 100 meters. And it is visible. When I used to travel to Ahmedabad, I would see it on the side as a very, very visible and dirty looking, to be honest. And approximately around 3,000, anything between 3,000 and 4,000 tons of waste is getting accumulated every day. The consequence is you are having methane-induced fires and toxic smoke. Then you have the groundwater pollution. This impacts human health and nearby communities. Now, this heavy metal contamination is taking place in the earth. In 2019, the National Green Tribunal asked the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation to clear out the entire place in 1 year. They have been working at it. And what they have done is they have started biomining, that is the extract legacy waste, and then whatever is organic, they are converting that into compost. Whatever is recyclable, they are recycling it. They are processing it for refuse-derived fuel. through incineration, and then whatever is the soil-like waste that remains, they have used it in the Dholera Highway and Mumbai-Ahmedabad bullet train project. By 23-24, they had processed something around 95 to 900 lakh metric tons of waste. Something around 48% of the site has been cleared. I happened to visit that area on Sunday. At least it is no longer visible. They are setting up another 1,000 ton per day waste to energy plant. It is still not fully closed, despite the fact that the NGT had said that it should be closed within 1 year. And the problem of pollution, the earth getting polluted, still continues. This is a wonderful example of waste to energy. Traditional dung cakes continue to be an important rural cooking fuel, and it reduces fossil fuel dependence. Modern biogas plants process dung to produce methane, rich biogas for cooking, offering a cleaner and renewable fuel. Advanced pyrolysis and gasification convert dung into biogas, syngas, and biochar for fuel and soil enhancement. And then they also convert it into biomass pellets and briquettes for higher energy density and easier storage. Though biogas is less dense, but it offers significant carbon reduction. The biogas yields vary. It varies from this depending on the feedstock, that is the input. Typically, you get around 15 to 30 liters per kilogram of dung. It is very effective. It reduces green gas. It utilizes waste. But it is still less efficient as compared to the conventional natural gas. Yes, Nupur? Hello? Nupurji, can I continue? Or you have something to say?
No, sir, continue. Continue, sir. Thank you.
Okay. How has the government of India approached this subject? First is through policy frameworks. They have devised certain policies and initiatives. The first is the solid waste management rules of 2016. It has mandated segregation at source, decentralized processing, and scientific landfilling. Then you've got the Swachh Bharat mission, which is urban and rural, focusing on waste collection, processing, and landfill reduction. Then you have got the MNRE waste to energy program. Herein they provide financial support for biogas, bio-CNG, RDF, and power generation projects. Then you've got SATAT, which is the sustainable alternate towards affordable transportation. See, what happens is a basic problem that we encounter is that for people who are collecting waste, there's a lot of biogas that is getting generated. The rest is being used as manure, say in the rural sector. The entire biogas may not get consumed. So after processing, there is an incentive to sell the biogas that is generated after treatment and removing H2S in particular from that gas. So, and that is called CBG, compressed biogas. Now, this compressed biogas, there are now efforts being made to put that into the pipelines of cities. So this initiative is a recent one, and efforts are being made to ensure that there is an assured market for compressed biogas by linking producers, particularly with oil marketing companies, because in the cities, the gas that is being provided is through oil marketing companies only. So if you look at things in totality, these policies reposition waste not only as a sanitation issue, but as a resource and energy input. What are the technology and innovation opportunities that come up? See, the urban sector, you have got waste being generated, 55 to 60% being generated in the in a concentrated area. In the rural sector, in the urban sector, the waste that is getting generated finds or meets its end in large incinerators. In the rural sector, it is dispersed. So consequently, you have got biogas plants. But what happens in the urban-rural gap, where you have got the smaller mid-sized towns? So there it has to be a customized mix of decentralized and centralized solutions. Then you have got to focus on the focus development area using modular biogas plants, using a PPP model for municipal solid waste management, IoT-enabled bins for collecting waste. That means if you throw in a plastic bottle in a bin which is actually supposed to collect waste, then the system will not permit it. Then mobile waste to energy units. Now this is something which is still in the offing, wherein you create mobile units that can be deployed in certain areas to provide emergency and water and waste management. Now these ideas can be tailored. Many of them can be implemented by startups and government programs in India. I forgot to mention that Taiwan, what they do is, when it comes to their waste management, what they are processing waste management, but it is one thing about waste is that it is never, there is no certainty. And the size of the plant has to be so tuned that it takes care of all the waste and nothing is thrown away into landfills. So consequently, the waste management, the incinerator unit is typically built for a scale larger than what would otherwise be seen. It is built for the maximum, for periods when you have the maximum amount of waste being generated. So during periods of low waste being generated, in order to prevent the company, because they are all running, they are all businesses, in order to prevent the businesses from shutting down their plants, what they do is the country has promised, or rather assured, the salaries of the workers who work in those incineration units. So at no point of time is there an incentive on the part of the business to shut down the incinerator. So now this is where I come to my own company. This is not exactly a waste to urban or a rural story, but this is more as to how the industry manages it. This is an area where I have had personal experience. The IPCL is the basic input for IPCL used to be naphtha, which is a byproduct of processing crude. At the time it was set up, it was actually a waste. We were exporting the naphtha that was being produced. In fact, IPCL was the first company to produce LDPE and PP, something which is very commonly used today. Now, IPCL managed with Reliance in 2007. But prior to that, what I'm talking of is the list of I'm talking of the few products that were being used. When we process naphtha, there is a waste that is getting generated, which accumulates at the bottom of a tower, and that is accumulated, and then that is allowed to dry out. So it's called slop oil. So it is used as an auxiliary fuel in burners to support combustion and incineration systems. Then you've got tarry residues. Tar residues. There's a plant called ACN. I'll speak about it a little more. This ACN, the residue that we would get from ACN would be something. It would be tar-like in substance. Now it has a very high calorific value, so it is often used. It is something like bitumen, but it cannot be used as bitumen. So this was used. It's often melted and then fed into furnaces for heat recovery. Then you got petroleum refining sludge. This is another oily sludge containing active organic components and is used as an alternative fuel and co-processing in cement kilns and specialized incinerators. Then we had spent solvents. The spent solvents is it's a waste which is generated during chemical synthesis, something like acetone, for example. And this is also reused in boilers in a closed circuit system. Then we had off gases. Now, we crack naphtha, there were certain components of hydrogen, nitrogen compounds, sulfur compounds, which were also generated. Now these were, earlier they were all incinerated. Now then they started being used in the process itself. So this is where these were considered waste. These are actually waste, but are actually being converted into energy. Coming back to ACN, ACN is actually, if I call it cousin of MIC, the main chemical which led to the Bhopal gas disaster, methyl isocyanate. ACN, insofar as the ACN is concerned, its toxicity is on the same level as MIC. So for the waste that is generated in the ACN plant, it was getting incinerated. It's a 2,000 ton incineration unit. Now, the heat that is getting generated is converted into steam using a waste heat recovery generator, approximately 16 kg per 16 kg pressure. Roughly around 2,000 metric tons of waste is being used. Now, this is a regular process. What we also need to understand is that while it is now a steady process, the waste that is it is not that it having started with this process, we have stopped looking at other avenues. I'll give you two small stories which I experienced. In one of the manufacturing units, we encountered a leaking valve, and the output from the leaking valve led to a bypass unit which was being fed into the flare. Now the waste that the gas that was passing through this particular valve had a lot of energy in it, and it was useful also. So the decision was taken to try and extricate this gas valve, because we were not able to repair this valve. So the decision was taken to see if we can draw this particular component from the waste that was otherwise being flared. For this, since the quantum of this gas that was being flared was very small, they required a special extraction unit. In the 1990s or so, we spent around 10 crore rupees in order to set up that extraction unit. But as luck would have it, once we had imported this French extraction component, the pump, it was a specialized pump, and spent something around 10 crores on it. When we were about to set up this, rather commission this particular plant, somebody discovered a way of stopping that leakage. That entire 10 crores unit was never put to use. Another example that I would like to talk of, one second, there's one more example which I remember. Yeah. In the cracking unit, we have heaters. Basically, the process is we pass naphtha at very high speed through special pipes, which is cracked, which is subject to a high degree of heat, something around 800 degrees of temperature. The cracking takes place. Now, this heat that is generated using gas. Now, this particular heat is otherwise vented into the atmosphere. So, what the company did was they started using that heat and converted it into steam using what was called as a SRT heater. And the pressure that was generated was 110 kg pressure. This was then let down using adiabatic expansion to 42 kg, which was the main source of energy for use within the complex. When Reliance took over the site, they said, why do we let it down as is? Because we have sufficient quantities of steam. So what they did was they set up a turbine unit which would generate around 2.5 megawatts of energy. So if you look at things this way, the energy that is being consumed in the heater is getting converted into steam through I keep forgetting names because it's quite a long time. is getting converted into steam, which is being converted into energy, and the balance is being consumed in the system as process heat. What are the challenges? The challenges are materially, there are plenty of challenges that we are encountering. So first is the poorly managed thermal plants, which emit harmful pollutants, risking public health, and there is a regulatory pushback in this regard. So emission control and monitoring must be stringent with still skilled operation for public confidence. Then there must be a social acceptance. There are past failures, and there are fear of health impacts, which cause a lot of resistance. So transparent stakeholder engagement, particularly the population in the vicinity of such units, their engagement with them is vital. Then there are feedstock and economic risks. You have inefficient segregation, which reduces feedstock reliability. If within plastic one encounters organic food, organic manure, then the energy content in the organic waste is not as high as that of plastic. So consequently, the output that one will get from such units will not be very high. So inefficient segregation, it reduces the reliability. Then you've got high capital costs. As I mentioned earlier in Taiwan, where the incineration unit is set up for the maximum load, but the maximum load is rarely reached. So you have a high capital cost, and there is a need for policy stability challenge, because otherwise it challenges financial viability. Then you've got then monetizing energy and byproducts plus carbon credits improve economics, because in the market one can sell the carbon credits in using such processes. Now there is a lock-in dilemma. The example of Taiwan that I just mentioned a minute ago, where the system is configured for maximum load. Now during periods of low load, for the business, the payment to his worker is assured, but his return is not assured. So what does he do? He may find ways of ensuring that material which is actually recyclable is incinerated so that it can generate returns for him. So in other words, what happens is large plants risk discouraging recycling by depending on constant waste supply. So consequently, there must be flexible recycling targets, and prioritizing material recovery can mitigate this risk. What are the forward pathways for India? You prioritize decentralized processing for wet waste close to the source to reduce transportation costs. The United States can afford to send its waste by barges to a incineration unit several miles away, for the simple reason the smell factor would not affect the residents nearby. But in India, transportation costs may make the entire process unviable. Use centralized plants for non-recyclable waste with stringent emission oversight. Here in Vadodara, if one were to visit a place called Nandesari, for example, to say that it is polluted is putting things lightly. It is extremely polluted, and during winter, it is almost impossible to pass through that area. It's an industrial area, but if I transplant that into a incinerator unit which is generating a lot of foul smell, then there will be a lot of resistance. So a stringent emission oversight is required. Build municipal technical capacity and standardize monitoring, because this is an area which requires a lot of attention. Integrate formal waste workers sectors to leverage their expertise and preserve recycling streams. I want to spend a minute on this. 1 second. See, what happened was in Ahmedabad, what happened was initially, when they started working on the removing the waste at the Pirana site, they started letting go of the waste workers. Prior to that, what would happen was that the Pirana site there was a lot of work going on through waste pickers, scrap dealers, and aggregators. The waste pickers, are the ones who collect the waste and they sort it out, and then they sell. Newspapers are sold to the newspaper wala, plastic is sold to the person who buys plastic from them. Then you've got scrap dealers who pick up scrap, your raddi wala, and then the aggregators who collect all these items and then sell them. Now, these sectors were neglected in the initial period. This happened in other sites also. For example, the Ghazipur site, and there are a couple of other sites in near Delhi. They were taken out of the system. When they were taken out of the system, what happened was it caused a lot of social disruption because people lost their jobs. Then there was, and as a the segregation not being done properly, where you are getting calorific content, variable calorific content for incineration, the quality of the output also got affected. Consequently, there was a change in thought process. So these people were brought in, and once they were brought in, then you had the recyclable material, whatever they could recycle, that started happening. It reduced landfill burden also, because you look at a mound and you say this is all earth, and you put it into the landfill, not realizing that 6 inches below that earth, you've got a whole mound of plastic material which can actually be incinerated. Then they align the waste to energy development with climate action and energy security goals. This is something which the present government has been doing a lot. Then encourage innovation and adaptive context-specific solutions. This is still a work in progress. Now, in this regard, there was a panel discussion just a couple of days ago, and they came up with the panel discussion. Some of the observations were, 1 minute. They said it happened in Chennai. They said waste to wealth is a myth once the waste reaches the dump. That means, in other words, what they are saying is that the segregation should be done at the source. Second thing, observation was collection of waste management cess by municipal corporation as part of property tax. It is true. There is a waste, many municipal corporations have a waste management cess. They say that collection of waste management cess by the municipal corporation as part of property tax will not work, as the onus is now on the municipal corporation. I can continue to discard waste as and wherever I want to, whenever I want to. It is the responsibility of the municipal corporation to collect that waste and send it for disposal. The third observation was 100% of the metals are not collected from the motherboards, from the electronic waste that is happening. The 100% of the waste is not, for example, there are joints that soldering that happen. That's a metal that is not getting collected in India today. Lastly, the intent towards waste management is not there. It has to become an all-encompassing national goal. Only then we can look at waste managing properly. Conclusion. Oops. One second. While solar and hydro, am I still audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Conclusion. While solar, wind, and hydropower provide clean energy generation, WTE, W to energy, waste to energy addresses the other suitability challenge, managing what society discards. Waste to energy is not a panacea, but an important complementary tool in reducing landfill dependence, generating local renewable energy, cutting emissions, and providing employment. For India, waste to energy represents a transition strategy within its ambition for a circular economy. Now the question should shift from should we do waste to energy to how can it be implemented intelligently, inclusively, and transparently. Integrating the informal sector remains critical to sustainable and equitable waste management. The last one is a critical component, and we need to focus. In India, we tend to neglect the informal sector. Unlike the West, where they form a very essential component of waste management. Until unless we give them proper due in terms of supports, this kind of things are not likely to happen. Any questions, please?
Sir, may I?
Please.
Sir, it says that the developed countries, they effectively manage the waste, or rather they try to effectively manage the waste. But then still that, as you mentioned, there is a huge island of waste in the Pacific Ocean. And many times we read that the developed nations, they use and they pollute more. So is it a they're just showing that they are doing it, or actually is it happening?
Say, I'll understand something. They are polluting more, yes. Okay, but the thing is this, their collection is also higher. In India, they are able to collect something around 75-80% of their waste. India, it is 50%. On a per capita basis, the waste that is getting generated in the US is far, far higher as compared to what is happening in India. But when you convert that 50% collection multiplied by 1.4 billion, and then you look at the waste that is happening in, say, in the United States and multiplied by 350 million, I think the comparison becomes more clear. Second thing we need to understand is when I talked about the waste that we encountered in the Pacific Ocean, that's a waste which was discovered something around 20 years ago. It is waste which everyone is throwing into the sea. Now that is an area where there is some impact of the movement of the ocean currents, and consequently you have a small pocket which is now 1.6 million square kilometers, which is wherein all the junk is getting collected. Now just imagine for a minute that somebody is driving a motorboat in that area. Bottle he can drive through, cap he can drive through, but can he drive through a fishing net? So the waste that we are talking of, it is happening all over the world. When I walking in New York, there were areas where it was actually filthy. It was comparable to what I see in the city and say in any place. Name Delhi, name Vadodara, name Bombay. I encountered the same amount of garbage out there. But on the whole, the place is cleaner. They are able to manage things better. The air is better. Have I answered your question?
Right, sir. Right, sir. Yes, sir. And sir, just out of curiosity, we say that say no to plastics, at least one time use plastics. Is it not possible to ban the production of plastics?
You can't do it.
Okay.
I'll see, let me put it this way. Look at things from the medical perspective. Your saline bottles, your all these syringes that are used, the pipes that are used for carrying blood. They're all plastics.
Yes.
Can you hold? We talk of paper cup for tea. We now use what is called a paper cup. Are they actually paper cups? They are actually paper infused with a certain amount of plastic. And that's a waste which is actually difficult to manage. The companies are actually collecting that same waste and reprocessing it. In India, it is not mandatory. In the West, it is. You can get away with certain. See, for example, a simple method of managing plastic at the individual level is: first, don't use these water bottles, Bisleri and stuff. Why can't we carry a reusable bottle of our own? Can't we do
Yeah.
that?
Yes, sir.
It's simply food for thought. Personally speaking, in my vehicle, I keep bottles. They're all either glass bottles or metal bottles. I don't use plastic bottles.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I have one example. You mentioned Indore, you mentioned many cities of India, but I think you have read about Ambikapur city of Chhattisgarh. It is into Sarguja district. This district has been declared zero waste city in Chhattisgarh, and it has got a recognition in India as well. Actually, in this district, people are segregating waste at the source level only. And it is like a female-led waste collection team, which come every day, and they used to collect like it is being implemented from the Ambikapur Municipal Corporation only, that at the source you have to segregate the waste. And from households, these Swachhta Didis, they collect the waste from household, they take it to their centers in the city, which has 48 wards. And they have 20 centers in Ambikapur, where the organic waste is used to produce compost, and non-organic waste, which is again segregated into 63 categories of plastics, which is being sold to the scrap people. So this model has been successful in Ambikapur, but it is unfortunate that this model has not been replicated in other part of Chhattisgarh or in major cities of India.
63. Please, I'm sorry. Please.
Hanji sir. So like 63 categories of plastics. Then at the centers, like the center is known as a solid liquid waste management centers. And like in 2 wards, there is one center. In Ambikapur, altogether, there it is 48, divided into 48 wards. So like 2 wards have one SLRM center. So this project started in 2015 on line of Swachh Bharat mission only. And Ambikapur Municipal Corporation, they took the initiative. It is basically the public administration initiative to make the city zero waste city.
It's a very interesting
Yes, sir.
story. I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah.
See, what this tells you is that the effort to clean up this country is taking place in pockets. It is yet to become a movement.
And sir, very well you mentioned this, that one of the report, it is being said that it cannot be considered like every household, there is a sections that every house, like household level, you have to pay certain amount for waste collection. Then for like Thela Walas Bhaiya, they pay different amount for waste collection. The hotel people, they have to pay different amount for everyday waste collection. It does not come under your municipal tax.
It's a good process. It's a good system.
And
See,
like for females, they are earning around 7,000 to 8,000 rupees per month from the waste sale and the door-to-door waste collection amount.
Now you are, see, this is where what you are, see, I let me narrate a small story. A small story. It's not exactly related to this subject, but the lessons are. I was the treasurer of Sports Development Council of IPCL. And IPCL had 4 schools. So for schools, it means sports. So what we used to do for the kids during the summer vacation, we used to run summer camps, training camps. Many of our employees were passionate sports persons. So what they would do is during the summer holidays, they would conduct camps. And it was a voluntary program. The only thing that the company would do from their side was to provide the ground and breakfast. After the exercises were all over, after the training was all over, there would be a small amount of food that was given to the children. In order to facilitate competition, and because merely training the kids was not enough, they needed to exposure to the competition. What we would do is we would invite the children from neighboring areas and other people residing nearby to come and be a part of the camp. And at the end of the program, we would give them a small token, something like a T-shirt or something like that. Over a period of time, what we found was that the kids would enroll themselves for the program, but they would not attend the program and simply come and attend things on the last day, just in order to collect the T-shirt. When I became the secretary, when I became the treasurer of the Sports Development Council, I put my foot down on one thing. I said, look, attendance has to be compulsory. So what I did as an incentive was, I started focusing on that if you are not attending the program, you will not be entitled to the shirt. I even tried pushing the idea of collecting a small fee. The fee was not important. The quantum was not important. The thing is like this, that if I have to pay from my pocket to attend a program, I am getting involved in the program. मेरे जेब से कुछ जा रहा है तो मेरे को उसकी कीमत निकालनी है. और जब मैं निकालनी है, which means I need to attend. So when we started this program, the attendance which would otherwise be in the vicinity of 30 to 35% suddenly shot up to 85% plus. So drawing from your example, from this example, the learning is simply that if there is an incentive, or a disincentive, then people will get involved. Now, if I have to pay for the waste that I'm throwing out, then 2 things will happen. First and foremost is that I will try to reuse to the maximum extent possible, thereby reducing the quantum of waste. Second is that the person who is collecting the waste is also getting an incentive, in the sense that he or she is getting paid for the waste that is getting collected. The net effect is you have a cleaner environment and neighborhood. So what Ambikapur, if it is doing it's a wonderful example, and I think it needs to be replicated, at least to the extent that it can be done.
Yes, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. I'm Krishna from Chennai. Can I ask one question, sir?
Please go ahead. I'm all ears.
Sir, actually, I've seen many regulators. You may think it's a silly question, but I thought I can ask you. There are many regulators, like banking regulators is there. Various regulators are there. Where every national education policy like that. For waste management, also regulators are there. Correct, sir? So we hardly have a news on waste management from regulators, maybe central level or state level. I don't know. I'm not aware of that. Probably if you see NEP policy recently, B.Ed as course, only 1 year has become new revival of 1 year course. And like that, various regulators are giving news on day-to-day basis. But regarding waste management, we hardly hear any news, whether it's state level or central level. Do you agree with me, sir? I personally feel I have not heard any news. So do you agree with me with my question, sir? To update ourselves, what is happening with the waste management?
The simplest thing we need to understand is that it is not a movement as yet. We still live in the Chalta Hai syndrome.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So once it becomes a movement, then things will slowly they change and accept it. Things will not happen overnight.
Yes, sir.
When I don't know if you people will remember that there was, and maybe it was not done across India, it happened only in Gujarat. What happened was that after the UPI was introduced, the government tried to encourage the entire state, I think it was Gujarat. They tried to encourage the entire state to turn cashless. They conducted programs. There were a lot of effort being made by companies the push given to companies to conduct cashless transactions. Now the thing is this: as long as that campaign lasted, that effort was put in.
Okay, sir.
After that campaign ended, the entire thing died its own slow death. It's not that it did not result in an increase in cashless transactions.
Yes,
India has got the highest number of cashless transactions in the world.
yes, sir. Yes,
But
sir.
that is when you consider a population of 1.3 billion. In the US, I was finding it difficult for people to accept cash because everything that was happening was cashless.
Yes,
On
sir.
a per capita basis, US is far ahead. In terms of total number of transactions, India is far ahead.
Right.
But having said that, the thing that we need to understand is that it is not happening as a movement. You and I are not accepting. How many of us, let's be honest about it. It's a rhetorical question. How many of us, when we are carrying waste, do we try to find a place where waste is actually collected? I've seen people from well-to-do families driving fantastic cars, throwing out waste from they simply roll down the window, throw the garbage out, bottle out of the window, and drive on.
Yes, sir.
It is not as yet a movement. So the answer to your question lies in this. Till it becomes a movement, it will not happen.
The only thing is it's hazardous to many human lives. That
Yes.
is one thing one has to consider, because if there is no movement in banking, one can go and get the check. If no in education, then I will write on a blackboard. But this is not like that, correct, Sergi? It has to be addressed very seriously. Otherwise,
It is.
Yes.
We are a dirty country. You look at all the people who visit India. The first thing they say is it's a very dirty country, and it is.
Yes, sir.
Kenya, you see garbage there. Yes, you see garbage there. But compared to what we find here, it is a fraction. United States is still also a fraction. It's a place which, my view is that it has seen its best days. It needs to do a lot in order to recover its old glory. But for all that, it is still a very clean place.
Yes, sir. Sure. Just a small doubt arose. I thought I'll just clarify this small doubt. Sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right.
It is my privilege to express our heartfelt
Because your
gratitude
voice
to
is
our
not very
esteemed
clear.
Shika, your voice is not clear.
Sir, it is to express our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed resource person, Mr. Rakesh Manocha, for inspiring.
Shika, you are not audible. Hello?
Yes, it is.
Yes, Shika, continue.
Dr. Lokesh, I take it there are no more questions.
Yes, yes, sir. I think
Huh?
there is no question.
Well,
So, sir, thank you so much, sir, for being with us and enlighten us for your precious knowledge and experience. And I think the participant will get definitely get something for you from you, and it will be very beneficial for our all the beneficial for all the participants. Sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
yeah, I hope it's been useful because this is the first time I've conducted an online session. I've taken sessions at the University of MS University also, but this is the first time that I've conducted an open, an online session. So I hope it's been useful to everybody. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Thank
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.